This is Money Moves on VSiN, the sports betting network.
Kicking off hour 2 of Money Moves live in downtown Las Vegas today or tomorrow. We are at the D in downtown on Fremont Street, having a little bit of fun over here. Beyonce.
I mean, you know I love it over here. Absolutely no question about it.
We had a blast during the NCAA tournament down here. And, like, the access to all of the screens and just being able to hear and see all of the chaos for March Madness. So much fun. Still to come this hour, we will dive into more Major League Baseball. We've got a full card on deck today. Also, a fun market we're going to dive into in college football, the Bear Bryant Award for Coach of the Year. Looked up some interesting information, and quite frankly, a handful of pretty decent bang for your buck options that match a lot of the quote-unquote systems that you might have for previous winners of that award. But, of course, we're going to continue to kick off the hour the way that we have each and every day over the last couple of weeks as our NFL training camp tour continues.
Join Stormy and JVT as they go on the Money Moves NFL training camp tour.
While it's triple digits here in Vegas, I did feel some autumn wind. The autumn wind is a Raider. Let's get in.
Is it? Hadn't heard that one before.
Although I don't know how much knocking down and conquering will be done this season for a team whose win total is at 5.5. Okay, yes. Or, I mean, I saw a stat earlier talking about the playoffs. Missed the playoffs for 21 of the last 23 seasons. And expectations are that will be the case again this year. Last year obviously didn't go to plan. JVT Pete Carroll, who was supposed to reset the culture and lead a competitive rebuild with all of his energy, ended up seeing Vegas tie a franchise record for losses with 14. They earned the #1 overall pick, though, which now gives you hope for the future in what your franchise quarterback should be.
Yeah, it's cute, but he's not going to play this year, so why do we care about that? The question is this year, what's going to happen with this group? Look, I think that this is a team that's, I mean, over -150 on a 5.5 seems very strong for this group. I think that given the juice on this, if I'm getting +125 on a team that I think is going to win maybe 5 to 6 games, I just don't think that's going to be a high probability that they're getting to 6 games like that. So +125 and under 5.5 I think is valuable. Look, their offensive line stinks. It's a really big problem. They have problems at guard that aren't really filled. Guys, you know, you talk about desperately holding on to the idea of the autumn wind being a Raider. They are desperately holding on to the idea that Jackson Powers Johnson was and is going to be something at guard and or center, and it's just not working out.
Yeah, I was going to say, so I heard Clint Kubiak make the comments this week about Jackson Powers Johnson and Caleb Rogers, that this week is going to be a really big one for who ultimately gets that starting guard role. Like, how disappointing is it that Jackson Powers Johnson has not been even close to the guy that they thought he would be? That said, though, the offensive line at large, I mean, Colton Miller, who missed so much of last season, you have him back. You pay a record-setting contract to bring in Tyler Linderbaum. Are you not at least more optimistic about what this unit is?
I mean, you think you're optimistic about Tyler Linderbaum, but I just don't think that's going to be the case. I mean, here, case in point, and again, it's comparing it to the best in the NFL, but you do it for a reason. They, by all accounts, got their asses kicked in camp with the Texans. Not even close. And so this is going to be a group that's going to have some problems at almost every single position. In the case of JPJ, you hear things about him kind of throwing hissy fits at the fact that he was just never made to center. And so that's always going to be something where if that is really true, then you've kind of lost the guy mentally at that point. And he's not even good enough to begin with. Missed some time already in camp as well. I expect this to be bottom 10 offensive line in the NFL. Maybe you could argue it's closer to, you know, what are we talking about, 22nd than it is the 32nd. But either way, you're in that range if you're this group. And I think you can make the argument that Kubiak's system, that Kubiak zone running scheme, that Shanahan stuff, maybe it accentuates an offensive line to an extent when it comes to the run blocking. But we'll take you back a couple of years ago. The Texans tried to do that with this offensive line in a similar scheme, and that didn't really work out. So, like, we see it all the time of these types of offenses really failing because of their pass pro not really working out. And I think that's going to be the case. Frankly, I think that's why they signed Kirk Cousins as well.
Yeah.
To kind of let him lead an offense that they knew was going to struggle. And defensively, you talk about what you've seen both in the preseason and reading reports. They are changing their defense around. They brought in a ton of new bodies to help facilitate the change of this scheme. But by all accounts, it hasn't worked out. Given up big plays, high-scoring preseason games, issues on the back end, I just don't see a scenario here for the Raiders where they're going to improve greatly from a 3-win team last year. Now, if they win 5 games, sure, you've improved this record. But you look at the schedule, you find me the opportunities where you're feeling extremely confident that this team is going to be in some of these contests as somebody who thinks the Jets are going to be a little bit better, that the Cardinals have the offensive talent that we just talked about. I hardly believe road games against those teams are just circle them up and win. And then after that, I mean, you're on even scale, I think, with a couple of these teams. You're favored against the Dolphins at home to open up the season, but the opportunities for you, I think, are very few and far between on this schedule.
Yeah, it's an uphill battle. I know I'm a little bit lower on the Chiefs and you're a little bit lower on the Broncos, but a division that a lot of people think could be the most difficult and best in football this year, too.
And we're lower on them in the scheme of the division and the entirety of winning a Super Bowl, not in one-off matchups with the Las Vegas Raiders. Yeah.
Correct. But just to say, the you talk about the strength of schedule at large, but then having to play the Chiefs, Chargers, and Broncos twice a piece as well is not going to make it a more fun experience. What I will say from a positive angle is that, while yes, the returns for the offensive line were bad against the Texans, it's also one of the best, if not the best, defenses in the entire league that you had coming at you in those joint practices. You at least will get better quarterback play regardless of who's out there, after Geno Smith led the entire league in interceptions last year and was making Jets-like mistakes from his first couple years in the league, where it was just abysmal and awful. I mean, some of the stuff that he was doing last year was like rookie mistakes that it just didn't even make sense what he was doing with some of the misses that he had on a game-to-game basis. Ashton Genty, yes, I know he's a little bit dinged up right now with the ankle. We haven't gotten a firm update on that, but seems like that's nothing really to worry considerably about. The receiving unit, I wanted your opinion on, too, because when your best pass catcher is Brock Bowers and it's a tight end, at least you have the tight end. But, I mean, the rest of that room seems a little bit suspect as well. But all of that to say, I think there's more upside for this offense than you've given them credit with. As far as the schedule goes, I think you're completely correct, though. Like, what are you going to be able to do with it?
Who among the wide receivers are you excited about?
Jack Besh, year 2, baby. Let's go.
Okay, cool.
No, but I didn't say I'm excited about them.
Okay.
I said at least you have Brock Bowers, though, to carry the load for you with him back healthy. Because last year, the injury, I think, really derailed everything. And then even with him coming back, he wasn't 100%.
So I've talked to a lot of people about this. I do think that Bowers is going to be the Jackson Smith-Njigba of the Las Vegas Raiders. And that Clint Kubiak last year was scheming up everything to get JSN open and to really, of course, help this offense out. And that's going to be the case for Brock Bowers. He's going to be their lone target, but I think it's easy to say, well, if you're the only threat, then they're going to double you and brag. No, Kubiak's going to do a good enough job to scheme it up to get him open. So I think there's a chance you could get an offensive player of the year type season from Bowers just because he's accumulating stats. And by the way, if we're right, he's going to be trailing. They're going to be trailing a ton. That means there's going to be a lot of opportunities for Bowers to put up some really stupid numbers. So I think Bowers is going to be great. I mean, I'm with, like, again, though, like you said it, cool, like Jack Besh, we're hoping that that's going to be the case.
Could Dante Thornton maybe pull ahead? Like, he's got the size and speed, had a couple flashes early in the season, just didn't come to fruition.
I mean, yeah, sure. I mean, but these are the questions we're asking, right? Like that to me is a problem with what this offense is going to look like. And then you mentioned Genty. So I think, we always talk about these teams, like what are some of the bets that you want to make? I would say under 5.5 of that plus 125 price is worth it. We talked about this during the futures draft, and there's a reason why we do these sort of drafts.
Yep.
Fernando Mendoza's passing yards is still out there at about 2,200.
You hijacked Matt Humans on that one.
But I think under is it, because here's the other part.
I actually really like that play.
A lot of people, I was talking about this with actually Brandy Flores, who I work with locally and who has joined us a couple of times. She's been covering the Raiders. You know, they brought up the faded bye week, right? Get your kid ready during the bye week. But the Raiders' bye week isn't until week 13. So did they let this team just take its lumps, do those sort of things, and then maybe you have him ready to go? The problem is it is a home game. Week 14 coming out of the bye, it's a home game against Los Angeles Chargers. Do you want to throw your rookie out there against potentially a division leader in the first game? But under passing yards there, I think, is totally worth it. And then we should also note, as we're talking about all of this, when's the trade deadline this year? If you could look that up for me, because the next statement is, will Max Crosby be a member of the Las Vegas Raiders?
November 10th.
So on my birthday, will Max Crosby be a member of the Las Vegas Raiders? I say no.
So I've heard, you would know better than I, and I'm glad that you brought up the work that you do here locally, because for any of you that might be listening to our program for the first time today, JVT does a lot of Vegas radio. He's at a lot of these different things. You're very in the know with Adam Hill, who covers the Raiders on a daily basis as well, who we'll have on the show at a handful of points throughout the course of the season. But I feel like you're more dialed into this team in general when it comes to some of this stuff. With Crosby, I've heard some mixed messages outwardly that it feels like a lot of those trade things were put to bed for the year.
Stop. No, they're
But
not.
I know you immediately said no.
I'd be willing to bet that the people that you heard that from were at some point, tweeting out the words Raider for life. Like,
All that to say, though,
Yeah.
with Crosby, I mean, he's still a star. So what kind of impact can he make? Is he somebody that even with him going from, let's say it is Vegas and somewhere else, that you want to look at any of his sack props or something like that?
But I mean, he's going to be cheap. So, like, in terms of a trade, right?
Yes.
I don't know about that because here's the thing. Remind me, why did the trade? Because here's the other thing, folks, that people just aren't really understanding, especially in Raiders land. Well, but why was, like, what happened earlier this offseason? He was traded. The Raiders ripped the Band-Aid off that and showed they're willing to trade him. So they're going to be willing to trade him again if an offer comes down. If they're sitting on 1 win or 2 wins in November, getting their asses kicked up and down the field, he does not match the timeline of a team that is developing a first overall pick. He's going to be gone. So I think all of this to say is, like, there's a group that's probably going to sell a little bit, whatever it is. I don't know about props for him because the other part about this is he is declining. He is old. He did not get traded because of an injury, right? Knee, bone on bone, or whatever it was. Like, that's not getting better anytime soon. So, as you can tell, I don't really buy into this. Next year, you might be great if you add a new toy for Fernando Mendoza and he really hits on. But I think at the end of the year, we're going to be talking about a team post-bye week that has Fernando Mendoza potentially out there for a first or second start of his career, has maybe 2 wins, and is limping toward the finish line.
Do want to remind you, all of these NFL training camp tour previews are available up on the VSiN Watch app. There's an entire little section where you can just go watch and listen to every single team that we have done so far, and we are nearing the finish line there. Also, while I'm reminding you about things, good to remember, Rainbow Authentics and VSiN are taking the bets to the beach this week. Tonight, Tim Murray and Matt Humans live in Hawaii for a special edition of VSiN Primetime at the Sheraton Waikiki. And tomorrow, don't miss a beach edition of the College Football Betting Podcast, getting you all the plays for Week 0. VSiN in Paradise kicks off 7 Eastern right here on VSiN Primetime.
Progressive knows when it's 3 a.m. and you can't sleep, your mind starts racing.
You're watching Money Moves here on VSiN, the Sports Betting Network.
So we talked about this a lot yesterday. I don't want to belabor the point for a topic that is already no true betting impact to it. That said, while we've got that graphic up on the screen, might as well tell you about the Sharp plays this season. The Sharps has a free weekly league that lets you practice the same football plays you've already studied. Prop, sides, totals, and combos. Everybody starting with 10,000 chips. Build your stack, climb the leaderboard, and sharpen your reads before the season kicks off. Enter jointhesharps.com or scan the QR code on your screen. Use the code VSIN50. That's VSIN50 for a 50% deposit bonus up to $100. Again, jointhesharps.com. Promo code VSIN50. That's my bad, but that does sound honestly like a lot of fun this season. Free weekly league. Can't go wrong.
Absolutely. I'm back on the horse when it comes to contests and fantasy as well. We will be signing up this weekend. I've joined a fantasy league for the first time in forever. A minimal $50 buy-in, so I'm looking forward to it. And I'm going to join. I was told that the VSiN Guillotine League that I competed in last year has already been put together and drafted, so I'm a little offended by our crew that I was not invited for a second consecutive year, but that's fine.
Do you have to be like grandfathered into that or something?
I participated last year.
But I'm just saying in general, like I've never even heard of it. So nobody invites me either.
Right, but unlike you, I actually interact with our crew and go out with them, and they love me and they know me. You don't know the names of everybody. You're constantly berating them.
Oh my gosh. I berate people?
Yes.
That's so, you literally come for me.
Every day you're
constantly saying that I'm too nice to people.
Critiquing the graphics every time when it comes to our training camp tour.
No, what?
Yep.
See, this is for anyone who is just listening to the program for the first time today. You are painting such a negative and false picture, and it's really hurting my feelings.
I think you called Justin a dirty baldy the other day.
Stop. To get back to what I said initially when we were coming onto this segment, the college football stuff has been pretty crazy over the last 48 hours. Did want to at least mention that the SEC did end up following suit yesterday with the Big Ten in that they have a unanimous ban of players leaving the NFL and returning to college teams. The SEC even took it a step further, prohibiting basketball, whether it's men's or women's, players from the professional ranks coming back to college, all of that stuff. And then earlier today, Adam Schefter tweeted out, per his sources, the NFL is going to provide some clarity to clubs later on in the evening regarding their league rules governing player eligibility that has been in place and remain unaltered. Said a player that goes back to college this season will be prohibited from signing with an NFL team this year. So lots of layers to this thing. I will say also, and I mentioned this yesterday, even with these bans coming out, expect more litigation, especially with the players that are coming out of Louisiana in particular. Like, that's kind of been the hot button state where all of this is going on. LSU at the center of it. But stage legislation trumps league legislation every day of the week. So I will be interested to see how all of this plays out. To push it forward, one of the markets that we wanted to get into today around college football is the Bear Bryant Award. I don't know how many people might be thinking that Lane Kiffin could be that guy after the way that the season is starting at this point. But let's get into this a little bit, because I do think, JVT, there's some intrigue on the board beyond the short shots here. Most notably, I would just say right off the top, if we want to throw that graphic up, I couldn't help but notice the disparity between Marcus Freeman and Ryan Day, for example. Freeman, a 7-1 shot, co-favorites with Mario Cristobal, and Ryan Day at 18-1. Meanwhile, those teams, when it comes to national championship odds, are very in lockstep.
I think it has to do, though, with expectation. And I know, obviously, Notre Dame has the expectation of winning championship, but Ryan Day and Ohio State, they go whatever it is, 12-0. That's the expectation. Essentially, you can only get worse if you're Ryan Day. And now the expectation is the same for Notre Dame, but they also, I think, have a very easy schedule for the most part.
You don't think that would hinder his opportunity to win this award, though? That
no,
they just
I think
through a bad schedule?
I think the market accounts for the C word you just said, which is cruising, which means if they just blow everybody out and they go on their way to being undefeated, then I think you give Marcus Freeman an edge for doing it. Ryan Day is in a more difficult conference, having more difficult opponents on the schedule, has to win a conference championship game, more opportunities to fail. I just think that's part of why this is priced in, if that makes sense. To this, I'm surprised the name that you weren't attracted to is somebody who thinks they're really high on them. Dan Lanning at 8-1 feels like one that you would be in on.
Yeah, there are a few I like, but I don't even know if I would go this short on the board. Like, there are a lot of double-digit numbers I find intriguing. But yes, Lanning at 8-1 is obviously attractive. I think this is the year that Oregon gets over the hump, even with.
I'm just talking about winning the award. You don't have to comment on his looks.
What?
Come on, it was a good job.
The thing with Oregon, to me, so. There are certain parameters that everyone who has won this award has gotten to, which I think for those of you that might be betting this market or looking at this market even for the first time should be aware of. I went through the last decade in particular. No coach that has won this award has been outside of the top 6 in the final rankings. Almost all of them have either made or played in a national championship. The exceptions are Luke Fickell with Cincinnati, who's one of the few G6 programs the last 2 decades that has been in this position. The G6s, by the way, that have won Coach of the Year. Luke Fickell with Cincinnati, the year they made the playoff. Scott Frost with UCF, the year that they go undefeated and were the self-proclaimed national champions, and then Chris Peterson with Boise State in 2009. So typically, these are teams that either win or play for the national championship, have an undefeated season, do all of these things with high expectations. 6 was the lowest, once again, that I saw any of these teams in the last decade get to in the final rankings. With that, obviously, my expectations.
So lame, by the way.
What?
I just like with these coaches awards.
It's very different from NFL Coach of the Year, where it's more narrative based. Is that what you mean?
No, I just mean you should be able to be like coaches awards in general. Some of the guys near the bottom, I will call it. Like, for example, you look at the bottom of this list all the way, and for our audience that's watching, we only put up the top. What did I say? Your last top 10 or whatever it was. But you look at this, there's a reality in which Jason Eck leads New Mexico to a 10-2 season, wins the conference, gets into the college football playoff. That I would consider to be one of the best coaching jobs in the country. He's not going to sniff this award if he does that. And so that's what I mean by it's lame. It's always just these high-ranked guys who are just winning a bunch of games. It's just you should look at this from the reality of what's a true coaching job. And especially when you take into account, you want narrative, the quarterback issues that New Mexico is already having, right? The early injury to one of your best defensive players in camp. Those sort of things I think should be accounted for.
Well, I'd say a primary example of what you're talking about is the fact that Curt Cignetti won it last year when Indiana wins a national championship, but Marcus Freeman won it 2 years ago.
Yeah.
That's the year I think Cignetti should have won it for the job that he did with the turnaround at Indiana, right? Yes. So it is a little bit different from that standpoint. But all of that to say, that is why, yes, I think 8-1 on Dan Lanning is very intriguing given the expectations I have for that team. But if you want to go farther down the board, let's say things pan out the way you think they do for Alabama.
Yeah, that's yep.
Kalen DeBoer at 28-1, I think, is very attractive from that standpoint. I know you're going to disagree with me on this one, but Kalani Sitake at 30-1, if things go their way, could be an 11-1 Big 12 champ. I don't see them beating Notre Dame, but if it's close and they play well and they make the playoff and win a first-round game, I could see them pushing for that.
My problem would be, we're assuming the one loss is Notre Dame. So would be 11-1 conference champ, only lost to Notre Dame. Like if they lose ugly, would he realistically win it against a Freeman who is undefeated?
If they win in the playoff, because this award, like you don't get the nominations
that's important. When is this?
Until mid-January.
So this is post?
Yes.
Not postseason because the championship's not
it's before the national championship, but it is in between, right?
So this is not a regular season award.
It's during the playoff that the vote happens. You
just did it for your website, or you actually voted last year?
Not in the Bear Bryant specific one. I voted for Coach of the Year through the ESPN Awards.
Got it. Okay, that's what it was. So I'm glad you brought that up. So the longer shots, I would say first off two, the two that I thought you'd be in on was Lanning 1, Campbell 2, just because I think that you're really high on Penn State.
Stop.
No, I'm serious. Like if they achieve the things, if they pick apart that schedule like you think, and they get right back to prominence nationally with an easy schedule after the year they had, you could paint the picture at least that Campbell's there.
How we talk about the schedule versus the talent, I don't think that's a team that's winning playoff games. And again, like that's into the consideration of when they vote.
And the other for me was, I think we both share relatively positive sentiments about this group, but if USC makes it to the playoff like I think they can, and you look at their schedule, they have the opportunities to stack up wins against some pretty solid competition. Dan Lanning, Lincoln Riley at 25-1 would also be one I think worth considering, and it's the brand too, right? Head coach of USC.
I just would have, I would have rather had Sitake at 30-1 than Riley at 25-1 because of the schedule difficulty.
Mm-hmm.
Like BYU's schedule, I think sets up nicer for them to put themselves in that position. Versus, while I'm very high on USC, I think there are 2 losses on that schedule at least.
That's why I think, though, too, why do I keep saying Lanning? Lincoln Riley, they both look the same. They're just generic white head coaches. But that's why I actually think Riley, to me, is the better option, only because if he achieves against this schedule, it will be viewed, I think, as more of a success from a coaching perspective than if Sitake just, loses the game he's supposed to against Notre Dame and then goes on to win the Big 12. You know what I'm saying?
Fair. I don't know. It just because of the expectations around Texas Tech, I think if anyone but them wins the Big 12, it's a big deal.
Here's the thing. If you really think Sitake can win it, do you just play him money line against Notre Dame that day? I mean, seriously.
I wonder what that price is going to be.
Just because, again, it's not going to be as much, but, I think he's got to do that.
I haven't looked. Is that up on Game of the Year lines? It probably is. Also, while we're on USC real quickly, sophomore defensive tackle. It's a big loss. Jakeem Stewart is not going to play for the Week 0 game against San Jose State with a foot injury. Not reportedly long-term, so he should be back out on the field soon. But a big one here for those of you betting Week 0. We'll be right back.
Football is coming, and the sharp money is already moving. The sharp plays at Sharp.
You're watching Money Moves here on VSiN, the sports betting network.
College football is back, and the NFL season's just around the corner. Now's the time to get your edge with VSiN Pro. Next week, our updated NFL betting guide will drop with post-preseason updates, Week 1 betting systems, contest strategies, and updated best bets from all of your favorite VSiN hosts and analysts. Sign up today. You'll also get instant access to the college football betting guide that's out now, plus daily best bets, real-time bet splits from DraftKings and Circa, AI-powered prop projections, and 24/7 video on the VSiN Watch app. You can start today for as little as $9.99 or save 50% if you do that annual subscription. VSiN Pro. Head over to vsin.com/subscribe now. That's vsin.com/subscribe. Stormy Buonantony, Jonathan Von Tobel back here with you from the D. Money Moves on a Wednesday. Lots to get into, although I have made this point to you several times today. I can't unsee it. For those of you that are watching on YouTube TV or the VSiN Watch app today, something about where we're sitting at this table, I don't know what it is, if it's my shirt accentuating it more, but I have scoliosis, and you can very clearly see that one of my shoulders is higher than the other one.
On the one shot. There you go.
Yeah, so look at this thing. Look at it, because my back is so crooked. I don't see this normally on TV. I don't know why this is standing out so much today now that we're here.
I can't tell whose one shot is more crooked, your shoulders or just the fact that mine, because the camera's leaned. So again,
sit how you should normally.
Okay, so this is me. This is me sitting normally, and then this is me correcting myself to line up with the camera angle. There's very
true
clearly
professional.
Yeah, this is very clearly a shift here.
This is the inside baseball that nobody asked for, but we're giving you anyways.
Yes.
I just can't handle this. You also didn't realize I had scoliosis. I thought I had told you that before.
No, I knew you had scoliosis. I never said that.
Just real crooked.
I just forget. I mean, you mention it all the
Real
time,
crooked.
though.
I do not.
You mention it a lot.
Well, I have back problems.
Could it be cured?
If I put a rod in my back,
Why haven't you done that yet?
because I don't want to be 6'1", nor have back surgery.
That's a lie. You ran up to me yesterday to measure our heights because you were hoping you were taller than me.
Yeah, but that's just to make you feel inferior.
But I'm not like that. I don't really care.
That's not true at all.
I'm
Every
6'1", by
time
the
I
way.
wear boots, you say you get a little bit insecure.
I've never said
You've
that.
said it to me multiple times. It's actually quite sad on your part that you don't have that internal confidence.
I'm a true 6'1", by the way. I know a lot of you out there like to say you're 6'1", even though you're 5'11". I'm a true 6'1".
Okay, following up
6'2" in heels, brother.
on last segment, we were talking about the Coach of the Year in college football odds, the Bear Bryant Award, and I did want to make one clarification on how the voting goes. I was correct that the finalists are announced in mid-January,
Okay.
but I thought that the vote occurred before the national championship. It actually occurs immediately following. So apparently, according to the National Sports Media Association for the Bear Bryant Award, voting begins after the College Football Playoff National Championship game Monday night, 30 minutes after the game concludes, and finishes at noon Central the day of the awards dinner that Wednesday, 2 days later. So the actual voting on the award comes after a national title has been crowned.
Okay, so I'm confused because the way you're wording this is they vote twice?
It sounds like they vote to get to the finalists, and then, I mean, I'm just saying, that's the verbiage
I mean,
from
I guess that would make
this.
sense because in theory the pool is so large that you would vote to get finalists
To
and then
trim
vote
it down
again.
and announce
Yeah.
your finalists on January, I believe it said 13th.
Because when you did it for the E
Yes.
ESPN thing, they gave you a set list of people.
Correct.
Because who did I want you to vote for last year? I wanted you to vote for Eck.
Yeah.
I think, can we say this on the air? Yeah,
Yeah.
Whatever. I wanted you to. No,
Well, he was already somebody that
but
was
he was
on my list
But
because
he
you
was
picked
not.
3.
But he was not available to you, correct?
Correct.
Yeah, okay. Yeah. You'll at least be able to vote for all of them here. Weren't there a couple of other names you wanted to mention?
Yeah, I was just going to say, I told you there were a handful of long shots that I was intrigued by. We already mentioned Kalen DeBoer, Kalani Sitake. You brought up Lincoln Riley.
Yep.
But, I mean, if you think Texas A&M takes that next step, Mike Elko is available at 30-1. Pete Golding, too, if it works for Ole Miss this season. And Trinidad Chambliss is everything that everybody expects him to be, 25-1 your options there. So some names that you're getting a little bit more bang for your buck than you might be in other futures markets for those respective teams.
And like we talked about here, there's a lot of guys that you can make the case for that would do good coaching jobs, but I still don't think they would sniff the award. Like, for example, you're going to have one of these teams your first 2 weeks. Who do you think I would go to?
Tennessee? Are you looking at Josh Heupel?
Right. So, like, there's a reality in which Heupel, with a true freshman, gets this team to like 9 wins and is on the fringes of a playoff race. The offense is averaging 30 points per game. That, to me, is a good coaching job. That's a really good coaching job. Would a 9-3 Tennessee, with those parameters, ever even sniff this? Would the award voter actually do that? I don't think they would look at that. I mean, history, you rattled it off, right?
Yeah.
History has shown us that they will not look at the nuance of a season like that. But I'm trying to find down the list some of these teams that, like, if they really hit the upside, what could it be? Like, could I convince you, okay, this might be more realistic?
Like, hold on, real quickly.
Yeah.
The only exceptions the last decade
Sure.
of coaches who won this that were not at the very least in the national championship game was 2023 when Mike Norvell won it after they had an undefeated regular season and Jordan Travis got hurt, so they didn't earn that spot in the playoffs.
So in theory, they were still technically a top 6 team.
Correct.
Right, okay.
And the other was Luke Fickell at Cincinnati, where they were the only group of 6 program that had ever cracked the 14.
And they were
playoff.
undefeated that year, correct?
Yes.
Yeah. So okay. So you need to be
undefeated
or a
yeah.
top 6 team.
Correct.
Okay,
Undefeated or in the natty. So what are you going to get?
So okay. So let me convince you of this. If the upside really hits, this is in theory a team that could maybe be undefeated and win a Power 4 conference.
Are they on that sheet?
No, they are not. Could Rhett Lashley at 45-1.
Ooh, SMU. That's interesting. Let me look at their schedule.
Right. So in theory, so if you look at it, you
if you're
could
buying
get
that Kevin
through.
Jennings is healthy.
Yeah, so like if Kevin Jennings of the Kevin Jennings Medical Center is healthy and you go through the ACC regular season, let's say you upend Miami and win the ACC and make it to the playoff, would Rhett Lashley be the most realistic 45-1? Because if you have that resume.
Because that means you're beating FSU to start the season.
Sure.
You're beating Louisville on the road at their place.
Which is all achievable.
Yes.
Yep.
Notre Dame is on the schedule late in the year, and
Yep.
if you win in South Bend, like that's
Sure.
game
Which,
over.
by
But
the
even
way,
if you lose that and you win every other game on your schedule,
that's two. But
very in play.
We should point out, one, football's stupid at times, and two, we've seen Northern Illinois go in there at South Bend and win games before when Marcus Freeman was the head coach. So it's not impossible. It's improbable, but it's not impossible. And this version of a team that's visiting has a potential Heisman candidate and a team that has been a college football playoff team before.
I absolutely agree with you. Most realistic in that price range.
Yeah, if you're looking like big picture, if you're trying to zoom out and find somebody realistically that could pull this off and get into that range, it would seem like he is the most realistic option for you.
So one other thing I wanted to bring your attention to, I mentioned John Ewing earlier in the program and some of the data that he had put out. Another thing he put out earlier today was college football conference betting over at BetMGM, the most bet teams to win their respective
Can I
conferences.
guess? I haven't looked at this.
Well, it's already on the screen.
I haven't looked. I promise you, I'm not looking.
Okay.
I'm not going
to
to look.
Do you want me to go league by league?
Yeah. I'll look straight at you.
Big 12.
Most bet? It's got to be Texas Tech still.
Correct, and that's by tickets or handle.
Yep.
The SEC.
Ooh. It's going to be Texas or Georgia, but I want one answer so I could be right or wrong. I'll go Texas.
Georgia. Georgia to
okay.
three-peat. The Big Ten.
Big Ten, Oregon.
Yes.
Okay.
ACC.
ACC, I mean, it's got to be Miami. There's not really many other options.
So you're sensing a trend here, right?
Yeah.
We're going all favorites.
Yeah.
Big 12.
Big 12. Did you already guess that? It was Texas Tech. We already guessed that one.
Oh, sorry.
Yeah.
So this was, yes, they are the most bet, period. But
I see what you're saying.
Sorry, I'm going top 5, and so
you're
far.
saying go 5 overall. Okay,
correct.
okay.
Apologies on that. I didn't put that up there well.
It's your fault.
Going top 5, most bet, period.
Okay.
So far we have had one from each conference.
Yeah.
And so we're going hardcore favorites.
Gotcha.
There is another Big 12 team.
Oh, BYU.
Kansas State.
Get out of here, really?
Where?
See, I'm proving, by the way, I am not looking. Corey's my witness. I'm just staring straight at you right now.
Yes. So I apologize again. I did not set that up well. Kansas State, 14-1.
What?
5th most bet team to win their respective conference in all of college football this year. And so here's what I want to say.
Far in Optimus Klein here.
So here's what I want to say.
Are we done, by the way? Can I look?
I am, yeah.
Okay.
You know, as optimistic as I have been on Kansas State.
Colorado.
That optimism has since come down a lot. If you have not heard about these offensive line injuries, very concerning, especially if you're thinking that this is an Avery Johnson getting back to form type of a year. Their starting left tackle, John Pastor, has a season-ending leg injury already. Colin Klein called it an injury that was, quote, incredibly unfortunate, very freak in nature, and out of anyone's control. Don't love hearing that at the most important offensive line position. And then his fellow offensive tackle and Ohio State transfer, George Fitzpatrick, who missed all of last year with a medical issue, has still not been cleared by doctors to play yet this year. Mm-hmm. So you have two guys that you were expecting to be important pieces for you up front that you do not have now.
I think we're a little too far out of here on this group.
And I like Kansas State a lot, but when I saw that, I was like, oh, no.
That seems to be what I would surmise is that is people saying they're going to make it to the Big 12 championship game, and I'm going to do something with this ticket when they get there. The problem is they're going to be pretty solid dogs when they get to that Big 12 championship game. So what are you realistically going to get out of that ticket? So I don't know if that's a lot of people that really expect that they're going to win it or that they're just going to get there and try to hedge off of it once they do. But I think you're in for a rude awakening once you get there because you're going to be like, oh, like I've got to lay like $4 on like Texas Tech.
Well, and I mean, yes, but just to go back to Kansas State at large, like this is a team that is retooling in a lot of different areas. They have a lot of new pieces on defense. I am excited about what Avery Johnson and Colin Klein can be as a combo. I think that based on their schedule, they should be able to go over their win total. Do I think that they're winning the league? I'm not there. Okay, you hear the music. We got to step aside. We're already wrapping things up. Coming up after this, got best
so excited
bets.
for Saturday.
Couple week 0 plays. I officially am putting.
Oh, do you really?
Yes, sir. We'll be right back.
We're gonna go to the UNLV game this weekend. I'm so excited.
No, we're not.
We all hear the radio ads about the IRS. They tell you to be afraid, to be scared.
You're watching Money Moves here on VSiN, the Sports Betting Network.
All right, wrapping up this Wednesday edition of Money Moves, live from downtown Las Vegas at the D. Stormy Buonantony, Jonathan Von Tobel with you. Lots of college football this hour, and it's going to continue here as we round things out. Got a couple best bets that we're going to get to, but also the first game of the season We're seeing some line movement on TCU, North Carolina. We talked yesterday about the total, how that had been coming down, some sharp money on that side. Well, the spread is getting bet out in favor of TCU. People fading the Tar Heels as high as 9.5 here at Circa, but seeing 8.5s pretty much across the board right now.
Can't always get the best of them, Stormy. Tried to take a stab. I was like 7.5, and I went against my own logic because I figured the news with TCU and all this kind of stuff with the dismissal of the safety and the potential injury on offense and all this sort of stuff, that maybe this would lead to the market at the very least just freezing at 7.5. Maybe it comes down. So I took 7.5. Didn't go well. Now, yeah, it's not going to go well. I'm not going to try to make this case. I still think they can stay inside of that number. That's why I bet it. But it'd be nice to have 9.5. It would be nice. And if this gets
you
to 10,
can double down. You can get wild.
If it gets to 10 for sure, I'm going to go back in.
I think if it gets to, like, similar to what we were talking about with Sacramento State and Eastern Michigan, which we will get to in a moment. I think if you get to that type of a number, you just have to, on principle alone, get there, right?
Yes.
And especially for somebody like me, too, who
has scoliosis.
I did end up playing the under on this game.
Which one?
TCU, North Carolina.
Oh, see, because we talked about, I was going to bring that up. We talked about this. That total's going down.
Yes. So I did end up making officially official the 47.5, taking the under on this thing. If you think it's going to be a lower scoring game, and a portion of the rationale is that North Carolina's defense is better than people are giving them credit for, as well as the weather and all the other things that we're going to get into, a new offense, working things out with new quarterback and new coordinator, all those things. Then obviously you're assuming that it could be a lower scoring game, which thus helps you if you're somebody that's taking the points in that situation. So all of that comes together. While we're on TCU real quickly, I saw this come across my timeline. If you remember earlier this week, or maybe it was on Friday, that we were talking about the whole locker room situation at TCU, and I used some quotes from the Star Telegram out there in Fort Worth. TCU has apparently banned the Star Telegram now and pulled their credentials over reporting that case filing with the TCU campus police. They have been told that the decision stemmed from the victim receiving threats after the reporting, but the reporter who put that out never identified the victim until the victim himself made a public statement on Instagram. Yet they're being penalized for getting sources in the building that were unnamed and not naming the player that this all had to do with. I think is fascinating. The way, I mean, it's like the WNBA.
I mean, fascinating. It's
Pulling
ridiculous.
Credentials.
It's ridiculous.
Yeah, that's what is journalism for?
That's a very touchy subject, Stormy, and that's one that we could talk about quite a bit.
I love that that's controversial.
But I would argue, like to your point, just let's remove the whole debate of the importance of journalism and covering this and how this might be a microcosm of a larger issue. But maybe you should focus on the fact that your locker room was so dysfunctional that a dude got into an altercation that may or may not have hospitalized him.
Correct.
And that you have no control over what's happening in said locker room. And you have alleged as a head coach that you didn't know that it was as bad as this was. This is a worse version of Christian McCaffrey going, it was all part of the plan. It's the media's fault. Like, bro, you have no read on what your locker room is doing to the point where there was such a bad vibe between these two. It came to blows. And your response is not, hey, we're going to focus on cleaning up the program. Hey, I'm going to focus on getting a better read on all this. No, it's going to be like, no, you guys don't get to come in here and talk and cover the team anymore.
I'm looking at some of the commentary on this tweet that was of the announcement, which
I would assume everybody's fired up and is defending the newspaper.
No, there are a couple of those. I'll give them that. But it's felt like, I agree with the ban. Keep it in house. And this woke pot stirring journalist out of the athletics department, like. Also, someone told him that, right? Like, there's somebody in your building, like you say, keep it in-house. Someone told him that information,
Correct.
It's not like he was there and is just reporting even what he saw. Like, this is information that came from your people. Neither here nor there. I just found it to be a very interesting and upsetting wrinkle to that game that we have coming up in Dublin. But okay.
Also, a state school, not a private school, just worth pointing out.
Let's go through the rest of these plays here if we want to throw that up. So, yes, TCU, North Carolina, under 47.5. We're locking that in. I did figure out the play that I wanted to make on USC San Jose State. I told you it was likely going to be the over 60.5, and that is the way that I'm going to play it when all is said and done. I think, truly that SC in this spot could get there by themselves if they really, really want to, even with the depth that they have. I made the point yesterday to you that, especially with all the wide receivers that they're trying to work their way in, we've seen the way that USC has handled these season openers. They like to come out and dominate. They like to do different things with their offense. They're still throwing the ball late in the game. So I could see that approach. But then also on the San Jose State side, they, I would imagine, are going to try to work their offense the way that they do it, which is pretty fast, which is up-tempo, which is going to give USC a lot of opportunities on the other side to have their offense out there. Meanwhile, also, I think that San Jose State should be able to score some points here. So if they, my general sense is that this is like a 50, 51 in that range to 14 to 17 type game.
Yeah.
That's how I see it. So over 60.5 is the way I'm going with it. Sacramento State, we're just getting those double digits against Eastern Michigan. I don't have particularly high expectations for Sacramento State this year, but I don't for Eastern Michigan either. That's still a team with a win total of 5.5, and you're giving me double digits with a team that maybe isn't getting the expectations that they should because they're coming up from FCS, all of those things. And then our guy Kelly Bidlin, don't threaten me with a good time. He came up here, said he likes Xander Schauffele. I'm an Aztec. When the opportunity presents itself and a course fit is there for my guy, I'm playing it. Didn't go to the outright market. I might do a sprinkle on it just for fun to have in pocket. Might add a couple other things, but did lock in while we were on the show. Xander Schauffele, top 10 for the PGA Tour Championship this week. A little bit juice, minus 373. Oh my gosh, 137. Lord help me. And top 5 at plus 185.
Good
Boom.
job.
You got anything today?
Nope.
There's still a few more that I'm contemplating adding. But see, it stinks because some of these numbers now have just gotten away from us. We've talked a lot about this, the Hawaii game this week, and we've talked a lot about Memphis UNLV and taking the points with those teams, and it's just the way that the numbers have moved, it's not as attractive anymore. NC State is another one I'm contemplating that maybe as we get closer to the weekend, I could get tempted on. I would and it's moving in the wrong direction. As we pull up that graphic, goes from 5.5 to 4.5. I was hoping this would touch 6.
Oh, you're going to bet
NC State.
Is it 4.5 everywhere?
That.
I mean, it just means that you're right. The market is in agreement with you. Well, and here's the thing, too. I would argue with you.
Baby.
I know you want the most points possible. You want the best number possible. Missing out on 5.5 isn't the worst thing in the world.
Sure, but you would to get a 2 field goal, get a touchdown on your side, I would prefer to have that.
No, I know. I'm just saying, if you still wanted to bet 4.5, I would argue if you like NC State, it's still somewhat playable only because if you're not, first off, it never got to 6, right? Also, missing out on 5.5 is, they say it's a dead number.
Not the end of the world.
Yeah.
Where is Jacksonville State right now? Is it still 7?
Jacksonville State, I believe, is not located in Alabama.
Ha, ha, ha. Still 7. That's another one, though. Like you said,
Wait, did I say not Alabama? I meant not Florida. Where is Jacksonville State? Isn't it in Alabama, actually?
I believe so, right?
Yeah. That's the joke. I messed it up. I was trying to get it in there. The Gamecocks.
A lot of dogs this week. Is that a good thing or a bad thing?
You're kind of losing your thread here.
Sorry,
a little bit.
yeah.
What's going on?
Well, now I'm just
Well, anyway, I know producer Corey put this together, so let's throw it up, please. The WNBA playoff field is set.
90 seconds to go. That's where you go.
Yep. Well, because I wanted to show this. So the WNBA playoff field is set. The Golden State Valkyries taking on the Mystics right now as a projection, or where it would stand right now if the season ended today. We still have 7 games left. Aces Liberty on one side, Lynx Wings, and then Dream Fever Wings clinched it up yesterday with a pretty solid victory. The only thing I wanted to point out was that I would very much like for this to kind of remain where we're at in the sense of my Golden State Valkyries being able to take on a team like the Mystics, which we call the young.
Not saying it out loud.
You can't say it. You can't say it.
Can't say it.
The young gardening
Starts
tools.
with an H.
The young gardening tools. Yep. They call themselves that. That's their own nickname. And I would like that matchup to remain exactly
You tried to get me just because I got recently.
I thought you weren't paying attention, so I definitely thought you were going to say it. Yeah, for sure. Get a third time where you have to get a dump button.
My favorite gardening tool is not that item, but it is.
A spade? It's a very unique and complex tool.
I was gonna say a shovel, so I guess it's similar.
Mm-hmm.
Similar. Or if you need to water things, some people use a canister. I use a hose.
Mm-hmm.
That was a hint at what the actual.
Yeah, you don't have to spell it out, Stormy. I think we all get what they call themselves.
I just was excited that I found a way to use the word, but it was a different word for the same word. You know what I'm saying? All right. Anyways, that's a wrap for us today.
Do you know what a gerund is?
Have a great day, everybody. What is that? No.
A gerund is a word that ends in ing that can both serve as a noun and as a verb. Coloring, for example, is a very good one. You didn't know that one? You're a terrible host. See you tomorrow.
This is an important notice to all U.S. taxpayers. The IRS is giving away billions